Welcome, Viola Case players. We are moving on to the introduction to page 6. And I hope you've had a good couple of weeks with your, stand up just a little. I hope you've had a couple of good weeks with your bow and open strings, and that you feel very confident about your bow playing as far as what level you need and where your elbow needs to be and where your arm needs to be in order to play on a string without ticking the other strings on the open strings, and also parallel to the bridge. Then most important, I hope that you've got a relaxed bow hand started. I just don't want you to do anything that is unusual, like grabbing the bow, or the biggest thing that I see is the thumb looking like a banana, rather than all of this being nice and round and relaxed. If you're having any pain in your hand, you're usually using too many muscles and too much tension in your hand, and that can cause some pain. So in-person lessons are the best, but for now, I hope this helps. So today, though, we get to introduce the left hand. So set up your position. We're on page 6. And if you don't have a book, just email. They're free. The PDFs are free. If you need one mailed to you in the mail, just send us your mailing address and we'll send, and I think they're like $5, just enough to kind of pay for printing costs. So you've got your viola under your chin. You've got it set up so you can hold it comfortably with your chin and your shoulder, which I don't have comfortable yet. Wow, that got moved or something too over the weekend. There we go. Cough and breathe deep, do all that stuff. And then let's do the left hand. So a couple of weeks with your right hand on the bow and open strings and just getting your position. Now, the position like we described, if your arm was sitting down to the side of your body and you just turned it to wave at me and then bend your elbow, you want your viola to come to about where that arm comes up naturally. So not in front of you, not off to the side. We're trying to use as few muscles as possible and to be able to relax as much as possible. Then today, because I want you to get used to open and third finger, we're going to go on page 6 on 3 spaces in line. It's either an open string or a third finger. Wrist is straight. No collapsed wrists this way. No collapsed wrist this way. If I turn around and you look here, your thumb, and there's some controversy about where the thumb goes. The way I was taught as a kid, which may not have been a great way, but it works, is to have your thumb straight up and relaxed and kind of opposite first finger. And then third finger is an octave above the string below it. So if you play open C and third finger on the G string, you get the next C. If you play open G and third finger on the D string, you get the next octave higher G. Then open and third. And I'm not worried about the names of the notes. What I want you to get used to is your hand coming down as a unit, first, second, and third. And second finger is friends with third finger. So once we've established, and I may put some tapes on, but I don't like using tapes, but if you need them to show you where, I think you can anchor your third finger, and then if you listen closely, if you have a pretty good ear, you can sing or hear these things, but we're just going to do third finger to open on all 4 strings today. And so let's flip around and look at your music. We have 3 spaces in line. So we know that this top space is an A, open A. Then this note, and I'm not worried about you knowing the names of the notes on this page. This is the last page that will happen on though. Because if you go up, you know that you're going to be on the A string and 3rd finger on the A string because you've gone up. So anytime you go up in your music from a lower note down here to a note that is higher up on the page, you're also going up in pitch. So if you have open and a note that's higher and you know you're only going to 3rd finger, that's going to be 3rd finger on the A string. It's also called D, but I'm not worried about that this week. I don't want you to get like, oh my gosh, I have to learn a new note. No, just no, open A, then 3rd finger on A. Open A, then look, this note goes down. So you know that's going to be on the string lower, but 3rd finger. So this is A, then this is 3rd finger on the D string. Then open D, this note goes up, so it's 3rd finger on the D. This note goes down, so it's open D again. This note goes down from open D to the next note down, which is 3rd finger on the G string, which is C. Open G, up, 3rd finger, and so on. It is a pattern. I'm not worried about you using this as a pattern to read, because you recognize, hopefully at this point, your open strings, and then you're either going to go on 3rd finger on the string higher, or that same string, or you're going to go on 3rd finger on the string lower. The idea in this exercise is to get your bow and your fingers moving at the same time, and your hand working as a unit. So these fingers, I don't see this too much with my violin kids. I see this with the cello kids, where you'll lock your joints. You want to make sure all your joints come down round, just like you were holding a glass. And then you also want to have this like relaxed open space again in your hand, just like you had a little bit with the bow. So all of this, we're not really holding the instrument. Your chin and your shoulder hold the instrument. You're just letting the weight of your arm come down and pull that string into the fingerboard. And when it's pulled into the fingerboard, you get a solid tone. If you're getting this, it's because your fingers aren't coming down solid enough and putting quite enough weight on that finger to pull it into the finger. Try not to squeeze too much with your thumb and your fingers, because that will stop you from being able to do vibrato. Try to see if you can just get that weight of the arm to pull that string down. So if we look at the music, open A to 3rd finger on the A. If you have a tape, it'll go on the 3rd finger tape. Then always tuck right now, 2nd finger up next to 3rd finger. It's friends with 1st, 3rd for now. We will learn friends with 1st later. So we have open A for 4 counts. Ready, go. 2, 3, 4, then D, 3rd finger. 2, 3, and all your fingers stay down. When 3rd finger goes down, any finger under it goes down. Then we're going to roll the bow to the D string and put 3rd finger down at the same time. And then open D. 3rd finger on D, then open D, and the first measure of the next line, then open G, then 3rd finger on G, G, and then third finger on the C string, and then you're going to work your way back up. So the idea on this one is you're getting used to just putting your fingers down as a unit, all three fingers at the same time. You're not worried, I'm not worried about you learning these notes or the names of the notes. You can remember that third finger is an octave above the open string below it. There's more exercises in the book that will help you understand what an octave means and why is it C here and C there, because there's different C's and D's and E's. But anyway, so the exercise here is for your left hand. One of the things I want you to be really aware of, and you may need to look in a mirror because you can't really see what your wrist is doing. This is the biggest thing. People come back with their finger, and sometimes I will just say, okay, thumb needs to stand at attention, has to be straight up and down. Because if your wrist is collapsed, your thumb doesn't go straight anymore. So if you look from this side and you see that your thumb is laid down, then your wrist is also collapsed. That's the biggest issue that I see. And then the second issue will be joints locking. So all of these need to come down and be as a unit, relaxed, rounded joints all the way. And when we get to fourth finger, the one thing that will happen is that joint right there will lock, especially if your finger's a little short. I have kind of a short little finger, so I've always had a hard time on violin and viola with fourth finger playing, but if I pull my hand in enough, then fourth finger can be round too, and that's really important. So thumb straight up, across from first finger, all three fingers go down together. Third finger on your tape or an octave above the open string if you can hear that. Second finger tucked in behind third finger, and first finger a whole step away. If you have tapes, it's a good thing to kind of use them. I would say that about 2/3 the way through this book, I would start taking off tapes. You don't want to get too... tapes are like a crutch, so if you've broken your foot and you keep using that crutch beyond the time that your foot has healed, you're not really going to get the kind of physical therapy that you need on that foot. So I would say if you're getting to a point where you're like, oh, I can just hear this, I don't need to use my tapes, that's fine. And I would start maybe take one off. I think second finger is usually the choice, or for viola that comes off first. And then third finger or first finger then can be next, and just take one off at a time. So this is 3 spaces in line and your exercise for the top of page 6. If we look down at the bottom, we then add open string to third finger on all 4 strings with a mixture of rhythms and a little bit of an added teacher duet. So the next video will introduce Route 404.